the Cayman Islands.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And Automotive Art Cayman. Your car, our passion.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. How is everybody doing this morning? I think easier traffic on the roads this morning. I'm happy to see it, even though I'm a whole big 2 minutes away. I still see it. So I'm happy for everybody that's doing the longer trek into work this morning. It's a beautiful Thursday, July 3rd. We got a long weekend ahead of us. We do have K-Mass this weekend on Saturday, and I'm happy to say that Fet for a Cause is welcomed back into K-Mass. So happy for that union to happen again and for us to forge forward. And I will be participating with Fet for a Cause in support of DJ Lynn and the rest of his band. And it's going to be a great afternoon on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that one. You can still sign up, I believe. So if people are looking to hit the road and they want to do a little bit of Monday wear, some T-shirt wear, you can sign up with Fet for a Cause. I mean, that's who I'm going with. So you know I bring the vibes. So join us out there. We're going to be talking this morning about a pretty major change affecting every corner of our economy. Announced last week was a new minimum wage rate, rising from $6 per hour CI to $8.75 per hour. That's an increase that has sparked debate across sectors, and the new minimum wage will come into effect on January 1st, 2026. Now, is this a long overdue move toward fairness, or is this a challenge that businesses already can't really face because they're stretched thin? So we're going to discuss the impact, the pros and cons, and hopefully hear from you. So I'm encouraging listeners to weigh in on the subject of minimum wage. I know you've probably heard it on For the Record, a little bit on Talk Today, but now you're here with me on The Buzz. Sometimes I have different listeners, so I'm happy to hear what your thoughts are and to share your comments. The numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text us at 925-3261. Now, minimum wage. If we talk about some of these key points. So the old rate I mentioned is $6 per hour. That's been in place since 2016. The new rate, which was announced last week, will be CI $8.75 per hour. So that's a whole $2.75 more per hour, which is a pretty nice wage increase or rate increase. It's the first increase in 9 years, which to me is crazy because I feel like it wasn't 9 years ago that we changed the minimum wage again. And I'm like, where is time going? So all these things are happening. I just feel like we're still in the past few years. So the first increase in about 9 years, it's intended to better reflect the cost of living. It applies to Caymanians, of course, and work permit holders. So across the board it applies. And we're gonna see what happens. It's going to be a bit of a tiered monitoring over the first 12 to 18 months that it's implemented. And about the pros. Now let's get into the pros of raising minimum wage. Well, you will see an improved quality of life for low-wage workers or exploited workers. Hopefully, there will be a reduction in poverty and income inequality. It is meant to help stimulate the local economy as workers will spend more. They'll have a little bit more in their pocket and hopefully they'll spend more. There's a bit of a caveat to that though, so we'll get to that during the cons. It may reduce job turnover and increase job satisfaction. And that's understandable if you're not making enough at a job and you need to make a little bit more because we do know that the cost of living is quite high. You're very likely going to go to a job that pays a little bit more. It might not be the same kind of piece you got from a different job, but when bills need to get paid, you kind of put the piece and other things aside and take a bit of a higher wage, which I can't blame people to do because it's hard out there. So it aligns with a living wage approach, especially amid Cayman's high cost of living. So before we address the cons, let's get into what a living wage is. So I'm going to go over first the definitions of minimum wage and living wage, just so we're clear on that. And the minimum wage official definition is, it's defined by the International Labour Organization as the lowest hourly rate that employers are legally allowed to pay their workers, as established by law or regulation. It is intended to prevent exploitation and ensure a basic standard of income for employees. So that is your definition for minimum wage. The key characteristics there are it's legally enforceable, it is set by government, and it may not reflect the actual cost of living. And ours doesn't. Our minimum wage, the current one and the one that will be introduced in the new year, won't reflect the actual cost of living. It also applies uniformly regardless of dependence, location, or expenses. Now, the living wage definition, the Global Living Wage Coalition and the International Labour Organization define living wage as the minimum income necessary for a worker to meet their basic needs, including food, housing, healthcare, transport, education, and savings for themselves and their family. It should be earned in a standard work week. The key characteristics of a living wage are that it's not legally mandated unless it's somehow adopted into policy. It's based on actual costs of living. So that's your big difference between minimum wage and living wage. The living wage is based on the actual costs of living. It varies by region, family size, and inflation. And it's intended to support a decent standard of living, not just basic survival. In short, a minimum wage is what the law says you must earn, and a living wage is what you need to earn to live somewhat at ease without working overtime or going into debt or relying on social support. And even the idea of what a living wage would be in the Cayman Islands, which I've seen some references, anywhere from $11 to maybe $15 per hour, that's even barely getting you by. So there is a bit of a difference between minimum wage and living wage. So my question to the audience is, if the minimum wage does not reflect the actual cost of living, whereas a living wage does, or is reflective of, are we aiming to help people just barely survive, or are we aiming to help people live with a little bit of dignity? All right, we're going to go into the cons of raising the minimum wage. So I gave you the pros, and now to turn towards the cons of raising a minimum wage. There is definitely going to be increased labor costs for businesses, especially in tourism, retail, hospitality, and construction. There is the potential for higher prices for consumers as businesses will pass on the cost. There is the risk of reduced hiring, fewer hours for workers, or job cuts. It could disincentivize hiring Caymanians if work permit holders are seen as more, quote, productive or flexible. It may lead to greater automation or outsourcing in the long term. Outsourcing. All right, we're getting some messages here. I don't know why I can't say some words sometimes. So I just said it may lead to greater automation or outsourcing in the long term. Okay, we got a message on WhatsApp. And this listener says, "Hi, Kathy. This raise for tourism workers was promised years ago for this month. Why is it delayed now? And we are now in slow season. And how can young people want to work in tourism at $4.50 per hour and low tips for much of the year?" When you say young people, are you meaning people under the age of 18? Because I understand that there is an idea that they're supposed to get less than the minimum wage offered. I said it's an idea. I don't know for sure. Not 100% on it. So if you know, let me know. And yes, you are right regarding the minimum wage for tourism and hospitality workers. There was a plan to raise that minimum wage for that specific sector to $7 per hour. That was supposed to come into fruition this summer. And then we saw, change of government. So instead of just for the tourism and hospitality sector, the new government acted pretty swiftly and said, okay, we will take the rate suggested by the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee, which their last report was done in 2023. And that minimum wage rate that they suggested was $8.75 per hour. Now, I understand that, for example, the PPM in their manifesto during this past election season, just a couple months ago, they had indicated in their manifesto that should they form the government, that they would raise the minimum wage to $9 per hour. So just over the slightly suggested new minimum wage that the current newly elected government has adopted. So it went from what was supposed to be $7 now to $8.75. And I understand the woes that people in the tourism and hospitality sector may have, in the sense of, but wait a minute, we should be getting $7 right now. I don't know what the intricacies are there, what the holdup is there, if that's going to happen in the interim or not, if that's been shelved entirely. But I guess we're going to see, because we know a whole new entire minimum wage rate of $8.75 is going to come into effect at the beginning of 2026. Just going to check if there was another message. Okay, no. So to continue on what I'm saying, we talked about the pros. We talked about some of the cons. And you got the definition between a minimum wage and a living wage. And now we're going to see what this impact on government revenue or work permits may be. Now, businesses may reduce work permit requests to cut costs, especially in low-wage sectors like maybe domestic work or food service. And there's also a mixed effect. Government may face more calls for subsidies or small business relief. A lot of businesses are struggling as is. So how will raising the minimum wage impact businesses? Now, this is a big thing. And Cayman is, we're comprised of a mix of different size businesses. There's quite a lot of micro businesses, and that's a continuing booming part of business that we're seeing, micro businesses, which I think is 4 or less, maybe 6 or less. I think it's 4 or less employees. I could have it wrong, but we'll just go with 4 for now. So a micro business, very, very few employees. They often operate on extremely thin margins, and that will increase the hiking of the minimum wage rate will increase their operating costs. So think about the pension contributions, for example. They may struggle the most to absorb wage hikes. And I can see that for a micro business for sure. It might be harder for them as opposed to a large business, a corporation. They could reduce staff, raise prices, or altogether shut down. And we have been seeing a lot of the smaller businesses, the micro businesses, shut down, not able to even keep up with the current cost of doing business in the Cayman Islands. So small businesses, they may be forced to delay hiring or reduce operating hours or cut benefits. Many fear they can't compete with larger employers now. So as I said, the micro and small businesses are somewhat in the same boat. Of course, all businesses will have to increase their operating costs in order to make up for the rise in the rate of minimum wage. Medium businesses, they'll have a little bit more ability to absorb costs, but they're still vulnerable if wage hikes outpace the revenue growth. And they might invest in tech or, pretty much tech to reduce reliance on labor or maybe even outsourcing. Large businesses, so we're looking at businesses that have like over 100 employees, they're very likely to absorb the impact more easily. They may already pay above minimum wage. Most of them do. And the increase in baseline pay may bump up wage expectations across the board, including in the kind of mid-tier positions. So not entry level or those earning minimum wage, but those earning just a little bit more. Now those workers may say, hold on, we get a hike too. We want to see a bit of a wage increase. So it's an interesting kind of domino effect that could happen. But do I think we shouldn't have a minimum wage increase? I absolutely think we should. Even a suggested minimum wage rate right now, I think people are just barely going to make it. If I did the math right, which, math is not my thing, I think it's around $250 a week. if you're working 40 hours a week. I'll get that math right. We're going to go to a break in a second, so let me get that math right. And then I got some questions for the listeners too. So right before we go to the break, I'm going to, a couple questions. Do you believe $8.75 per hour minimum wage is enough to live on the Cayman Islands? Why or why not? Has your business been impacted by the suggested wage increase? And what changes are you going to have to make? Should the government provide support or incentives to help small businesses adjust to the new wage? And do you think the increase will lead to better opportunities for Caymanians or fewer? And what should be the next step? More frequent wage reviews or tying it to inflation? We're going to go to a commercial break right now, but when we come back, I'd love to get your calls and your thoughts about minimum wage in the Cayman Islands.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Alexander Selvin Eden, 1888 through 1985. Alexander Selvin Eden was a dedicated family man. He and his wife, Sarah Leonie Nee West, had 7 children, and their father made sure that they had the best education available. He loved to work the land and also raised livestock, providing steady employment for others. As a young man, he worked overseas on the construction of the Florida East Coast Railway, returning home after World War I. His major contribution was filling the void in transportation of goods and passengers between Georgetown and Bodden Town, which he did with a horse-drawn carriage for 35 years in all kinds of conditions. The government called upon him for many duties in his district, including police service, tax collection, operation of the cattle dip to control ticks, service as foreman of roadworks, and as pound keeper, keeping stray cattle until their owners reclaimed them, and the maintenance of telephone lines. He also served as a member of the Assembly of Justices and Vestry.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Cruise into summer with expert service from Automotive Art Cayman. More than a retail store, it's your one-stop auto care shop. We offer paint, detailing, accessories, wheels, Yamaha parts and products, batteries, tire repairs, tire changes, and more. Need top-tier shine and protection? Grab Gliptone detailing gear, Chevron synthetic oil, and Axiom car care kits. Get expert service with premium products all under one roof. Wherever you cruise, make your pit stop at Automotive Art first. Find us on Shetton Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
All right, welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and it's open line right now, and I'm talking about the minimum wage rate increase that was proposed last week that is set to hit at the beginning of 2026, and that new rate is going to be CI $8.75 per hour, a $2.75 rate hike from $6 per hour. Now, I asked a few questions right before the break, and I'm encouraging our listeners to call in, or you can WhatsApp your thoughts. The numbers to WhatsApp or call in at is 925-3261. That's 925-3261. You can call at 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. And so some of those questions that I had asked right before the break was, do you believe the new $8.75 per hour minimum wage is enough to live on in the Cayman Islands today? Why or why not? I have said absolutely not. So I did the math. I said I was going to take the break and do the math with my trusty little iPhone calculator. And so at $8.75 per hour, if it's a 40-hour work week, which is your standard work week, that's $350 per week. 350 times 4.2 weeks per month. So that's an average, like four weeks and a couple days, right? So we're looking at $1,470 per month. If it's a 37 and a half hour work week, which is what government workers are used to, that is a monthly salary of $1,378. I believe we have a WhatsApp call, or we had a WhatsApp call. I'm not 100% sure, but something came in. So caller, call us back because I did see your number come through. I'd love to hear from you, 925-3261. Now, either way, $1,470 per month is absolutely not enough to live on in the Cayman Islands. Absolutely not. We have that call coming in again. Well, I have a call coming in on my WhatsApp over here, so I don't know what's going on. But either way, that's just not enough money to live on in Cayman. So I don't know what's going on. You have to look at rent. You can't even really get a 1-bedroom apartment for less than $1,400 per month. If you do, it might be in Rum Point. Might be in Rum Point or somewhere out in East End, and then you're dealing with crazy traffic, and then traffic means a whole lot of gas, that kind of traffic that you're sitting in, which is at least an hour per day in the mornings and another good hour in the evenings to go home. And if you're taking public transport, then okay, you can save on gas a little bit, but how reliable is the public transport every single day in Cayman to and from those far-reaching districts? So $1,470 per month does not seem like it would cut it. The average cost of groceries for people, I mean, you got to look at least $500 per month, at least, and that is living on like rice and corned beef. Like that's not a lot. So again, are we encouraging people to just barely survive, or to somewhat be able to thrive, live with a little bit of peace? Sorry to our WhatsApp caller. I don't know why the call didn't come in through the studio, but I did have it come in through the phone in front of me. So if you wanted to share your thoughts via text, you can do so. And I want to point out to our listeners that I did read what I thought was a very interesting news article on Cayman News Service, and it was published on June 30th, and it was written by Mr. Nick Joseph. So I encourage people to go and check out that article, first of all, because he was a bit of an editorial more than anything, because there was a lot of personal thoughts that was in this article. So when you're writing in the news and or in the newspaper publication or anything like that, you have to be objective. So there was some personal thoughts that he'd shared. So to me, that was more of an editorial that he had written, but it was a very, very, very good one. And he pointed out a couple things. And one was, as one of our listeners said via WhatsApp, there was a plan to increase minimum wage this summer for hospitality workers only, and that was to be at $7 per hour. And the Minimum Wage Advisory Committee's 2023 report suggested the increase to be $8.75 per hour. And again, that was in 2023. So was that reflective of a couple years ago and perhaps the time, which I'm going to assume took maybe at least a year to come up with that rate, the research and the committee meeting and going over everything? That would be 3 years later in that sense. Is that rate out of date now? And as mentioned, the PPM's manifesto indicated that should they form the government, they would increase the minimum wage to $9 per hour. So he did have a couple of those points in the article that he wrote. And he also made some great points that I think, I want to definitely highlight. There's also manipulation by employers that Mr. Joseph had mentioned. And some of those include these following points that he made. Quote, Notwithstanding the law, entire sectors seem able to flout expectations as to minimum wage altogether. Regularly, I must confront circumstances where workers are paid $0 per hour, with all remuneration being commission-based. So if I'm thinking about commission and what industries are just strictly or solely commission-based, I thought real estate was, so he didn't indicate which industry that was, but I understand that real estate can be just strictly commission-based. I'd like a realtor to weigh in on that if possible. I also got another comment. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. My bad, wrong. So if the law mandates that if somebody's working for you, no matter what, you have to pay them a minimum wage, I don't know exactly what the law mandates here, then how do the solely commission-based companies, how are they able to circumvent the law in that sense? Another point that he made was, quote, the systems of apprenticeship and training required by our immigration laws have not been consistently or uniformly applied. Whole sectors of industry appear to have been allowed to develop and grow, with relatively few or even no Caymanians gaining or being equipped with the opportunity to gain the skills required to participate. I know where he's coming from with that, and I'd have to agree. There's supposed to be training implementations in place, upskilling of Caymanians, and our employers really doing that. Aside from our employers really doing that, is that being enforced? Is that being watched? Is that being monitored? Mr. Joseph brought up a point that I'm also well familiar with, having worked briefly for an employer here who did exactly the following as described here. Quote, increasing minimum wage is necessary and overdue. However, any adjustment that does not recognize and enforce key elements of our labor system, including as to ensuring that much of our imported migrant labor is guaranteed remuneration for a minimum number of hours every week, will fail. So, for example, the construction industry. It is my understanding that full-time employees must be guaranteed and paid a certain number of hours per week. Whether it's 37.5 or 40 hours, I'm not entirely sure on that. Regardless, if conditions allowed them to work or not. So in the construction industry, you might have torrential rain periods and episodes that may halt construction jobs. But nevertheless, by law, the employees are supposed to be paid the guaranteed hours per week, whether they can work or not. So many of these employees are coming from far worse economical situations or developing countries and fear being sent back if they speak up for their rights. And they are very much being exploited. So who owns those construction companies? Who's importing that labor? Who's taking advantage and not hiring within their own? These are serious questions that need to be considered and asked. So there's a whole lot more to be said on minimum wage.
When you're on the go.
Susan got excited there for a sec. That was her hint to me, like, Kathy, you got to go to the time check and you got to go to the 8 a.m. news. And I was ready. I was going to wrap up that section anyway. So that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to the time check and the 8 a.m. news. And when we come back, I'm going to be talking to the security center, but I wanted you to stew on those minimum wage thoughts and those questions I posed. And I do encourage people to check out that June 30th article that was written by Nick Joseph in the Cayman News Service, because he had a whole lot of great points there for consideration. Let's go to the 8 a.m. news.
Thank you, Kathy. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. With electors voting down a referendum on developing cruise berthing infrastructure during the April general election, the new National Coalition for Caymanians Government realizes helping local businesses in the industry must be a priority.
This is the exact scenario those of us who were not proponents of a referendum bill to not end up here at this moment in time, and how we would help our cruise boat operators, many of which are West Bayers, in how we would help them if it was a no.
Premier, the Honorable Audrey Ebanks, says the Ministry of Tourism is putting together, quote, short, medium, and long-term plans to assess options, with a focus on stayover tourism.
Now that stayover is quite strong and continuing to grow, how you can transition some of those business owners to that, whether or not there can be small and sets of financial assistance, either through the Development Bank or the Center for Business Development, and then also whether or not there could be training programs to move to other industries.
And in fact, the new Minister for Tourism says the situation may not be as dire as some suggest.
Can the Honourable Deputy Premier say if he has been any further decline in the cruise passenger number projections for the year 2026 and 2027 since the 2025 general elections?
There has been no further decline in cruise passenger number projections for 2026 and 2027 since the general election.
Fielding a question from opposition MP Kenneth Bryan, the Honourable Gary Ruddy reminded the House that most of the calls were confirmed before 2025. That's before April's general election. Mr. Ruddy says government will be closely tracking any projected loss as a result of the referendum through the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association and the local Port Authority. While figures for May haven't been published yet, cruise arrivals for April showed a 26% drop. However, there was marked growth in the sector for the first 3 months of the year. Air arrivals in April surged 15% when compared to the same month in 2024. And Radio Cayman strives for accuracy in reporting. However, the deputy leader of the opposition was inadvertently referred to as the deputy premier during Wednesday night's 6 p.m. evening news. We apologize for the discrepancy. In other news, big night for the University College of the Cayman Islands as the 2025 commencement ceremony took place Tuesday night. Education Minister, the Honourable Rolston Anglin.
We are celebrating not just this graduating class, but also a remarkable milestone, 50th anniversary of the University College of the Cayman Islands.
In his address, Interim President Dr. Livingston Smith not only reflected on the past, but looked ahead to the future.
We're entering a bold new chapter at UCCI. Plans are on the way for the establishment of a UCCI Foundation, the launch of a new online platform, a renewed emphasis on enhancing our teaching, learning, and assessment practices. As we actively pursue U.S. regional accreditation, we'll soon welcome a Director of Accreditation and Institutional Effectiveness, as well as a Coordinator of Teaching, Learning, and Assessment.
In addition to students receiving their degrees, 4 honorary doctorates were awarded. Former UCCI president, politician, and educator Roy Bodden, education pioneer Lucille Seymour, attorney Teresa Pitcairn, and dance educator Jackie Ann Balls. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News, I'm John Shea. President Trump's huge tax and spending bill is heading for a final vote in the House of Representatives after hours of negotiations to secure the votes of dissenting Republicans. The bill is set to increase spending on defence and border security while cutting funds for healthcare and food aid. A UN rapporteur has accused dozens of companies of being complicit in war crimes in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. They include arms producers, vehicle manufacturers, technology companies and banks. Heavy bombing of Gaza has meanwhile continued, with dozens of people reported killed in Israeli airstrikes overnight. BBC News, I'm John Shea.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Bodden, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Bodden. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio. Are you feeling overwhelmed, sad, stressed out, or suicidal and need support? Call 1-800-534-6463. K-Mind, Mental Health Helpline. It's okay to ask for help. K-Mind Mental Health Helpline, available from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday. It's free and confidential support and guidance on your emotional and psychological health.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's see what the wind, seas and skies have in store for us today as we take a quick look at what's happening weather-wise. Current temperature is 84 degrees, relative humidity is 92%, the barometric pressure 1015.5 millibars, the wind is southeast at 4 knots, overnight low was 79. Synopsis indicate light winds and seas expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to the weakening pressure gradient across the Caribbean Sea. A tropical wave located off eastern Jamaica will drift south of the Cayman area tomorrow, bringing a slight increased chance for some showers. Radar imagery show isolated showers east of Cayman Bracket Little Cayman, moving towards the west-southwest. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for mainly sunny, becoming partly cloudy at times in the afternoon, with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s, with a heat index near 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be easterly at 5 knots or less, becoming light and variable at times, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet.
Tonight, partly clear skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be light and variable, and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Today's low tide will occur this morning at 10:47, with a high tide this evening at 6:18. The sun will set this evening at 6 minutes after 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:53. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Saturday afternoon. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
To battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Brit K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Brit-K, where people come first. Join us on July 10th at 5:30 p.m. for the BRAC launch of the Seamen's Registry at the Veterans and Seamen's Association Hall as Celebrate Cayman invites seamen and their families to honor the vital contributions of our seafaring community to the Cayman Islands. Experience historical displays, hear inspiring speakers, and explore interactive exhibits. Plus, be among the first to visit the new Seafarers Registry website. Mark your calendars for July 10th. Exhibitions and activities will continue through July 12th. Let's come together to celebrate our maritime heritage.
Radio Cayman Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
Brought to you by these kind sponsors.
The Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Cayman Insurance Center.
Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call me today, Michael Webster, at 925-5433.
UWI Open Campus, on-site, online, and on demand.
Visit open.uwi.edu. Call them today at 946-8322.
Super Jam.
Also brought to you by
Cayman Airways. Call them at 949-2311 to book your non-stop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Superior Auto Center. Do it right the first time with Superior Auto.
949-9570
or 525-9571.
Superior Auto. They keep your car in tune.
And Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
An Ocean Deep Mobile Massage, your go-to for high-quality massage and spa services. WhatsApp 924-4159 or email oceandeepmassage21@gmail.com.
The #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio.
Flow customers unlock big prepaid rewards every time you activate a plan. Activate any 2-day plan or higher to unlock $100 Foster's voucher. Plus, get up to 2 gig extra data. And that's not all. Enjoy unlimited social media, unlimited calls to Flow, and unlimited SMS. The more you activate, the more loyalty points you earn. Get in on the big prepaid rewards. Dial *129# or visit topupflow.com to activate a plan today.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Coming from the east, further up on Shamrock Road, traffic is moving on moderately in both directions. As you approach the Linford Pearson Highway, moving on steadily. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, moderate flow of traffic, as well as Agnes Way into Georgetown. Looking pretty good, and it's traffic flowing nicely. Owen Roberts Drive, no issues there as traffic is moderate. Coming off of the Esley Tibbetts Highway, a little different story as traffic is steady. Expect some delays. Traffic also North Sound Road, steady but flowing. Moderate flow of traffic to and from the Industrial Park area, heading towards the Butterfield roundabout. If you've seen accidents or incidents, let us know by giving us a quick ring, 949-6990. From the Westway 4-way stop, flowing at a moderate pace on the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving along pretty good in both directions. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Get ready to celebrate the sweet, spicy, and sunny side of summer at Mango Fest 2025. Join us at the National Museum on the waterfront on Saturday, July 5th from 2 to 7 p.m. for a fun-filled afternoon of mango competitions, mango cocktails, crafts, games, local food, and more. Don't miss the mango peeling and eating contest. Bring the whole family and soak up the sweet and spicy flavors of summer at Mango Fest 2025. Saturday, July 5th from 2 to 7 p.m. at the National Museum. Mango Fest is proudly presented by the Cayman Islands National Museum.
For the Health of It, heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. is brought to you by The Light Room. Tired of being unwell and struggling to find the energy and vitality to live the life you desire? Come get recharged from the inside out at The Light Room. Our non-invasive, holistic energy enhancement system detoxifies and energizes the body, enabling self-healing and balance. Book online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL, 38 Pasadora Place, GT.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. And in this segment, we are completely pivoting from minimum wage to more so marine security. We're going to be touching on marine theft, its impact on the local boating community, and what boat owners can do to keep their private watercraft or fleets safe this summer, as well as themselves and their guests while out on the water. And some of the people that I hope are listening to the show, some of my friends that like to fall off their jet ski and get lost late at night, coming home from Rum Point, I hope you're paying attention to this. So now, while summer is the time for us and it's a fun time, it's also a time when we see a spike in marine theft and accidents, which is kind of interesting that that's when we see a theft spike. So today we're going to be talking about the real challenges facing boaters in Cayman and how we can protect ourselves and some smart ways technology can also help with safety and peace of mind, not just theft. So good morning to my guests. I'm welcoming from the Security Center. We have Barry Hemmings. He's a Senior Technical Pre-Sales Representative, and Enos Ferguson, who's a Technical Service Advisor from the Security Center. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for having us. We're doing well.
Good. It's good to have you. And I just want our listeners to know that I know you hear me sometimes being like, I'm not a morning person. We all know I'm not a morning person. And I'm listening to an audiobook called The 5 a.m. Club because it's got to have some gems. And Enos here just told me, he's like, I've read it. I've adapted this. I now wake up at 5 a.m. Yes. It's almost a bit of a sign for me. I get up at 5 a.m. twice a week, which is the Tuesday and Thursdays when I have to do the show. So
because you have to get in early.
Yes, to do the show. So, but that was so interesting. So I'm like, oh, okay, because I might share some gems from that book on a different show when I have an open line again. But
it's worth it.
It's worth it. 5 a.m. club. So those of you, I'm sure, coming from anywhere Prospect and past, you're all part of that 5 a.m. club already anyway.
That's by design, right?
Yes. Actually, got to move the mic a little closer to you. Yeah, perfect. Or a lot closer to you, maybe. Okay. All right, gentlemen. So let us just start first unpacking the challenges and the real life impact of marine theft in the Cayman Islands.
Okay. So again, thanks for having us. Marine theft has been a challenge for Cayman Islands, and it impacts in different ways. One of the main challenges, obviously, is it impacted in financial ways, but also it impacts persons' personal lives and how they interact with maybe friends and families. So one of the things is some of the key points is there are recent trends of how both theft, jet skis, and how it affects people overall. Now, we are at the Security Center. We strive to provide solutions to fix those, try to fix those issues as best we can. So today we're trying to, we'll be giving ideas of general safety tips and security tools that we use to prevent some of these thefts from happening.
All right. Barry, did you want to weigh in on anything there?
All I would say to add is that we've seen over $1 million in losses each year. Dive tanks stolen in West Bay, boats taken from prospect canals, jet skis missing from resort beaches. It's happening right here, and most of these crimes are preventable.
I would have to agree with you. Most crimes are preventable, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
And what I thought was interesting in the intro when I was talking is that most of the theft increases happen during the summer.
Yes.
Yeah. Any idea of why that's happening, or just people more idle at that time, or?
So that is a twofold. It's an interesting question. But people are more active. People are more in the water, and because of that, sometimes, I don't know if you've seen, a lot of times you're probably passing and you see some of the jet skis covered up on the tarps and stuff. In the summer, those are generally, you may use it today and you're planning to go back in the water next week, so it's always out, and that's a perfect opportunity for criminals to get access to your jet skis or your boats. And sometimes when we're preparing like for hurricane season or in the January, December time, those are more time when the boats are maybe in dock, shut down for an extended period of time. So it's not as easy. In the summertime, persons generally be on the water more often, and being on the water more often means that you use the jet skis more often, you use the boats more often. So you sometimes are relaxed in your mindset as to, okay, I can leave the door unlocked. I can leave some valuables inside because I'm going to be using it next week. Those kind of mentality then leads to easy targets. You may leave valuable stuff inside that you don't need to. Under normal circumstances, you may be going for vacation and you're locking down. Those would be put into safe storage, and that part kind of contributes to that, because it's more about a mindset in the summertime rather than in the other times.
I could understand that, especially if you're out on the water a lot more often.
Yes.
You're just kind of relaxed, like, okay, well, I'm going to be out there again tomorrow or a couple of days, and you're not going to be as stringent with, locking stuff away and whatnot.
So it's kind of a perfect storm for this kind of stuff to happen.
Right. And God knows that if you have been burglarized at all, if some thefts have happened to you, like it's happened to me, you can become very vigilant.
And
so
it's hard
that's
to
me.
recover as well, because it hits you financially.
Yes.
And it also hits you in a personal way, because that's a violation of your personal space, your safety. So you do have persons who have, bad memories from those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it does affect you not only financially again, but personally.
Yeah. It weighs on your mind. And any noises that you might hear outside on your property, like
yes.
Are they coming after my personal, assets there?
So we aim to just tell persons to be more vigilant, not only in the down times you think about security as a holistic lifestyle. And it doesn't only affect the marine life, marine situations. It's an overall holistic approach you have to take to security, because if we're brutally honest, we're not living in the world that we were living in 10 years ago.
That's very true.
So we have to adapt our mindset to security as well.
That's very true. So we know that these threats are real. And how do we know that? I think that you've mentioned a couple of incidents that have happened, right? So sometimes we'll often hear it's a hypothetical situation, but...
Yes. So you want to...
I think, Barry, you said there was over $1 million, right? And
Yeah. I'm not a numbers guy, but I've got a sheet here that I prepared. There's our RSIPS report. It's from 2024, but it just got released last month. The total recorded crime is there's 4,218 incidents. So compared to 2023, that's a 6.6% rise. Violent crime increased by 6.7%. So just in layman's terms, Cayman recorded about 5 crimes per 100 people in 2024. Do you want me to?
Do we have a narrowed down kind of data on marine crimes?
Yeah, it's, marine crimes is a bit hard because they all get classified under the same heading. But if I give you 5 headings, theft, stealing property without the use of force, burglary, unlawful entry into buildings, there's robbery, fraud, handling stolen goods. Those are the most prevalent crimes that our SIPs have recorded. Yeah.
So we know it's on the rise a little bit there.
So as an example, there was an incident in East End where a fisherman in East End experienced engine failure as an example. This one is more for... Yeah, so this one, a stolen boat in West Bay. This was for a dive tank in West Bay in 2023.
Oh, yes.
And there was 30 dive tanks that was stolen. This equates to a value of over 10,000 CI dollars. So you can see how that can interrupt business. And if you're a small dive business, these tanks are... So I've done diving in West Bay. So I've dived with Dive Tech and those. These tanks are expensive. Oxygen, the tanks and all of that. And imagine you losing 30 tanks at once. Then that's a massive impact on your business.
Right, because you're not likely taking 30 people out at once, first of all, but that's a huge part. It's like you have a service company, an auto service company, and you need to drive people somewhere and somebody steals your engine. Like you literally cannot operate because you cannot go diving without a dive tank.
And you cannot go diving without a tank.
Yeah.
So these are real life examples of how it affects persons. There was an example as well in this is 7 miles where a jet ski was stolen, and it was just unsecured overnight, and within the morning it was missing. So these kind of stuff happens on a very regular basis, and it happens again because people are in the water, and in this case the jet ski was unsecured, so they may have in their mind have the intention to be back on the water the other morning, and we just left it unsecure.
I feel like I see that sometimes, and we're on 7 Mile Beach. It's safe here. There's nobody.
There's nobody's gonna. And remember, thieves are always looking for opportunities, and if you present them with an opportunity, they're gonna take it. Most times, it may not be that their original intention was being looking for a jet ski to steal, but the opportunity presents itself,
right?
And they're gonna take it.
Sometimes it's a joyride. People just want to go on a bit of a joyride, and that's that. And if you leave something out there in the open for them to easily access,
they will.
Yeah,
they'll take that opportunity.
Yeah,
and that's what we see a lot of times. Somebody might say, "Oh, I just left it here overnight last night. It's missing in the morning."
Right.
And one thing about living on an island, anything that gets stolen, it takes a long time to replace it. Living on an island, things take a long time to get here.
Yes,
you order it. Could be 6 weeks, could be 2 months. That might be devastating to a business.
That is, I waited 3 months for a car part to come. I was coming from Mars. I don't know why it took so long, but it was ridiculous. 3 months was insane. So that's just for a car, never mind for a boat.
Never mind for a boat. And as we know, boat parts are expensive.
Yes.
It's a very expensive venture.
Sometimes I wonder why people own boats, because I understand it's the most draining thing, but I guess there's the upside too.
Yes. And again, also it outside of that, just the emotional toll, because I have a friend now, he spends nights on his boat just working on it. And imagine invest all of that emotional time.
Yeah.
And somebody just come and steal it. Then that affects you.
Absolutely.
Again, not only financially, but emotionally as well. And we want to give people real life solutions to prevent these kind of things from happening.
Okay, well, let's get into some of those real life solutions. We got to take a commercial break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about what some of those real life solutions are.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or belly fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Adelaide, what that is you have there in your hand looking at so intently on this porch?
These your shipping out papers, Paul. I saved them all these years. Don't know why.
Yes, they are important things that tell the story of us seamen. All the places we went and all the sacrifice we made.
And we sacrificed too. No man to help us manage the home, the grounds, the children. That was hard work. But what a joy it was when Annie came home.
Boy, Adelaide, we were brave people, you know, stepping off of this beautiful rock onto the edge of the whole wide world. And you all here suddenly becoming financial managers and overseeing construction. Some strong women.
We set this country on the map for sure. Every bit of our modern foundation came from seamen's allotments and women's hands. I'm so excited we're going to be celebrated on July 10th at the Voices of the Sea, launching the Cayman Seafarers Registry. Come on, let's go pick out what we gonna wear. This can be a real figure, a good old time.
Celebrate Cayman at the Cabinet Office cordially invites one and all to come out to Voices of the Sea, launching the Cayman's Seafarers Registry to celebrate our seamen and our proud history of seafaring. Thursday, July 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Veterans and Seamen's Association Hall in Cayman Brac.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about marine theft and security, how to stop these increases in marine theft from happening, which the summer is when we see more of a rise in marine theft. We talked about that before the break, and I have in studio with me from the Security Center, we have Barry Hemmings. He's a senior technical pre-sales representative, and Enos Ferguson, the technical service advisor from the Security Center. Now, we gave some kind of real-life cases in Cayman where dive tanks have gone missing, jet skis have gone missing, boats have gone missing. And then I'm kind of like, where are you going with a boat? You know, like, just how do you hide a boat? But things happen. So real-life solutions. What are some of the solutions that the Security Center offers?
Yes. So we offer multiple solutions, but one of the main ones is GPS tracking. So we do GPS tracking for multiple stuff, for cars and boats as well. Boats and smaller craft, jet skis as well. So what GPS offers you is the functionality to be able to track your vessel regardless of position. So for anybody who knows how GPS works, global positioning satellite, it just uses a GPS antenna and a device that is placed in your boat, jet ski, and it sends that signal every couple of seconds to a GPS satellite, which pinpoints your exact location. It is accurate down to 2 meters, dependent on weather. So if it's highly overcast, then you might have a little bit not so accurate, maybe 100 feet, 200 feet, but it depends. But in good conditions, 2 meters, sometimes even down to 10 feet, depending on the weather conditions. Now, this allows you to track your asset wherever it is. In addition to that, you can do what we call geofencing. What is geofencing? You just use the technology and you go on Google Maps and you create a physical zone around your asset. Once that asset is moved outside of that zone, it triggers an event. An event could be an alarm, push notification to your phone. If you have cameras integrated with that, it will send you a snapshot to your phone of what is going on. And that is done instant within just a couple of seconds, maybe milliseconds. In addition to that, we do offer CCTV surveillance for if you have docks, dry docks, or areas where your boat or jet ski will be parked for a long period of time. We have that as well. What we do with that now, you create, similar to geofencing, where you create intrusion zones, where you can just draw a circle or draw a box around the asset that you want to protect. As soon as that asset moves or anybody venture into that area, generates alarm, live alarm. So you can get it push notification to your phone, email, snapshot, text, however you want it. It's just your preference. And all of that is done through technology. So there's no human intervention. So there's nobody sitting there watching your asset 24 hours. So the added benefit of the GPS as well, in the use of in using with the surveillance system will monitor where it is locally, but if it moves, then you can't see it.
Right.
And that is where GPS comes in, because GPS will track it no matter where it goes. Even if you go out to deep sea, it will still be tracked, because it's satellite we're using and not dependent on cellular signal, which only goes out so far. So those kind of technologies implemented with the right technical team will assist you greatly in reducing the theft. Also, we have smart alarm systems, which for the bigger type boats, you can protect the doors, windows. So as soon as anybody breaches, open a door, open a window, open a secure area that you don't want to open, those generate alarms as well, push notification to your phone, all of those. And now we're living in an age of technology where everything is interconnected and smart devices. It's easy to do that.
Right.
So using technology, we have, again, GPS tracking, CCTV, smart alarms.
Now, you might kill me for this question here, but there's the GPS trackers, and what I've seen on the rise, a lot of people are using Apple AirTags. So what's the difference there if I was to use like an Apple AirTag? And that might sound like a ridiculous question, but at the same time, it tracks things, right? So
Apple AirTag uses the same kind of technology. The only difference with the Apple AirTag is because it's a smaller footprint, then what happens that the GPS antennas are not as strong. So what happens is that it may be accurate, but it may be accurate to a wider geographic area. So you may know that the device is somewhere in Bodden town, but it's not able to pinpoint that location as detailed, because what makes a difference in GPS is the antenna that is in the device and how it communicates with the satellites. Right. So for any good GPS device, it samples, and we call it sampling because it has to be how it generally works. It has to talk to at least 7 satellites to be fully accurate.
Okay.
Right. So if it gives you a weaker signal if it only validates from 1 satellite versus 7. And you have multiple different satellite constellations. You have the Galileo constellation, which is the European one, and you have others. So it depends on those kind of factors. But the commercial grade ones, bigger antenna and more powerful, so it's accurate down to a smaller dot, a smaller point. So that's the major difference between an Apple AirTag or a commercial grade.
Right.
Not that it doesn't work.
Right, but then there's a scenario if you're a boater and you are lost at sea, and you just have an Apple AirTag. It doesn't really matter because you've got your phone on there with you as a boater, most likely.
So it doesn't.
Nobody knows that you're out there and lost.
The
Only
opposite
you have
to that now is that if we as a company provide you with a GPS tracker, then if you get lost at sea for any reason, and somebody contacts us, so we have what we call key holders, which are persons who can contact us on your behalf.
Okay.
And if somebody contacts us, you're missing at sea, it's easy for us to say, okay, this is your exact geographic location. Give that to the marine police, and they can dispatch somebody to retrieve you. If you have your AirTag and you have your phone and everything on you, then you're still lost.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to make a difference. So the GPS is the more secure way to.
Yes, that's the added benefit.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so where am I at with some of the questions that I have here? So the GPS tracking, does it offer anything beyond the theft deterrent?
Yeah, so overall GPS, it gives you a peace of mind because you always know where your asset is at any time. If it's moved, you know. Right? And we use it, again, we're talking about marine, but we do use it in fleet management as well. Same kind of GPS trackers. If you switch on a vehicle, you know that the vehicle is switched on. Right? If your vehicle is moved, you know that it's moved. If it's traveling on a route which wasn't predefined by you, then you know that. So that's a part of the package we offer in our GPS catalog of devices that we offer. So it's for fleet management as well, not only for boat and marine life. But yes, it offers you additional peace of mind and for insurance purposes as well. Because if your insurance company knows that you have put in all of these additional mechanism to remain safe and your asset remain protected, they're more likely to offer you more favorable discounts in terms of your insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
Understandable. What about for some of those crimes that we had mentioned with it's the dive tanks going missing? I don't know. Can you put a GPS tracker on dive tanks, for example?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So you have the dive tanks and you have the additional stuff that goes with it, like the
your vests
and stuff. So you have active GPS trackers and we have passive GPS trackers. The difference is one is powered and one is non-powered. Right? So the active one needs power to work, as in it uses 12 volts power. It has a little battery in it. So again, even for boats, if you rip the battery of the boat out, the GPS tracker will still work because it has a built-in battery. It uses the battery of the boat to charge the battery in the unit. So even if you rip the battery out, it still sends you the signal for a predefined amount of time. The difference with that and the passive one is the passive one doesn't carry a battery and it uses battery, but it's for smaller items like a tank.
Okay.
Right? So we use that as well. It's not as accurate.
Is it as obvious to see?
No, it's not. It's similar to the Apple AirTag, which we did discuss, but commercial grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We also we started doing wearables as well, where like you could keep track of a loved one who's elderly or suffers from Alzheimer's or something like that. You can have a wearable, and if somebody disappears, a loved one disappears, you can track where they are, see where they are. It can also be doubled up as a panic system as well. So if they have a fall, raise the alarm.
And it also comes in the watch format as well. And I know maybe some topics are sensitive, but we do have persons who have Alzheimer's or those kind of stuff that you have to look out for the elderly. It does fall detection. So if they trip, automatically call our central station. If we have, again, those comes in the format of watch or a panic button around the neck.
Okay.
And you can as well added benefit of you being able, if they, for any reason, we don't want it to happen, but let's say they wander off, then you can pinpoint the location of the individual.
Do you know of scenarios where the boaters have installed GPS systems, but they're still victims of theft? Like maybe the GPS system didn't work. Is there scenarios like this?
If it has happened, it has happened with any of our clients.
Okay, wonderful. And not that we want to give away ideas of how that could happen either. So I feel you. So it hasn't happened with any of your clients. All right. We're saying here, turn to the security center, guys.
Definitely.
If you're really looking to secure your boats or your wave runners and whatnot.
I always think you should combine our technologies. So if you've got a tracker that's more sort of reactive, if you had an intruder alarm, it's a deterrent. You can raise the alarm before they've actually got to your tanks. So before they got to the divers' tanks, the alarm would have been raised. We can have it so it contacts a monitoring station. It goes to the client's phone. We could either set it up so you have police response, or we have our own guarding service, so we can have a mobile patrol. We can get our guards there as soon as the alarm's raised.
How fast is your response? Because a lot of people...
I
have called the police and they don't respond that fast all the time.
With reference to the police,
your response.
Can I say faster than the police?
Yeah, with reference to the police, it's potluck. It is potluck. It depends where they are and how busy they are.
Yeah.
But again, because And I understand the police are busy. They may have...
They're understaffed as well.
Yeah. So
very
they
much.
may have multiple points of things to do. The difference with us is that because that is our dedicated stuff, we have mobile patrols constantly on the road. So what we do as a model is we check on our guards on location periodically. That means our transports are always on the road.
Okay.
And they're divided up between West Bay, Georgetown, and the eastern side of the island. That means if there's an issue, it's easy to, because we know exactly where the assets are, we can easily say, okay, if there's an issue in East End, this mobile patrol will respond to it.
Okay.
But that's a service that we offer that you sign up for.
Right.
That if there's, and we do offer key holding as well. What that means, if you have a residence and you want us to respond for something, you give us a key. You sign a document, a contract that allows us to maybe go, if there's an issue and you're not here and we don't know, we can check. We can open the backyard, we can go around. If we need to go in the house, we open, check, make sure that everything is okay as per your predefined in the contract, and we do that as well.
Right.
Because I know persons are traveling. Most persons are not always here.
Right.
And we offer that peace of mind as well for you.
And I think that's great. It's a great option because we, as Barry has pointed out, we are seeing a rise in crime when it comes to theft, when it comes to burglaries. So it's a good idea to do so. We have got to go to our next commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to hit a couple more points here about marine theft and what Security Center offers to help people stay safe with their boats and their jet skis over what's usually a rise in crime over the summer.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Summer's heating up and the water's calling. From cruising the coast in your boat to riding Yamaha Wave Runners, Automotive Art Cayman will get you ready. We offer expert servicing by Yamaha certified staff as well as engine repairs, performance upgrades, engine and electrical installation, and more. Need it tuned, cleaned, repaired, or race ready? We'll keep you running smooth, whether you're riding waves or racing them. Trust Automotive Art for expert service and upgrades. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. We are talking about marine theft and promoting vigilance and safety measures when it comes to boats and wave runners and other kind of marine or watercraft boat or people may have. I should say, I was about to say boat owners may have, but people may have. So you don't have to be a boat owner to own other marine craft out there. So we have from the Security Center, Barry Hemmings, Senior Technical Pre-Sales Representative, and Enos Ferguson, Technical Service Advisor. Both are from the Security Center and giving their expert advice on the GPS implementation, which is a huge solution that the Security Center offers. And I want to know, when it comes to marine-related items for Cayman, what are the most typical items being stolen?
So one of the high-value items are jet skis. Jet skis seem to go very quickly.
Do you know why? Is it just like, is it for parts or just the joyride thing?
Parts, both parts and joyride.
Okay.
Because as you know, to get parts here, it takes a long time for anything to come, and so a lot of times it's scrapped for parts or maybe sold. So but that seemed to be one of the most stolen item. Boats go missing from time to time, but it's not as prevalent as the jet skis. What happens a lot of times is boats that are docked for a long time gets broken into. So they may steal the radios or stuff out of it, but it's not always the entire boat. So, but jet skis seem to go missing as well. And as I said, dive equipment, dive tanks, those kind of stuff goes missing.
Anything you can carry off, really. Yeah. Even I know batteries are quite heavy, but batteries go missing.
Yeah.
There's resale value in batteries or scrap value. There's a lot of it's lead, which is quite valuable at the moment. Sat navs, music systems. Yeah. Anything that somebody can just carry off.
Okay.
Yeah. Lock your boats.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
And some of these boats have some nice music systems.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So. I mean, it's nice to be on the water with a beautiful music. I'm a music system person.
There you go.
So whether it's the car, whether it's a boat, wherever it is, I guess that's why I'm in radio. I want to hear booming music all the time. Some of our listeners don't like that, to hear that from me, but it's the truth. You will ride up beside me in the car, and the car will be booming with music. I have zero regrets about that. All right, so thieves and marine equipment. Why do you think that they're targeting marine equipment so often? Is it just much easier?
It's easier, and again, it's a matter of culture, because most persons may not see the need to secure it as it should, and most times marine equipment are left outside, unfortunately. So for the jet ski, sometimes it's and you pass a lot of places and you see the jet ski maybe in the driveway, and it's just under the hitch there. So I may be able to just drive up a van and hitch it up and go. Yeah, you don't know, and sometimes
that's really bold.
Yeah, but that's criminal.
Yeah,
you're talking about. There are opportunities, and if the opportunity presents itself, they're going to take it. Right. So general tips for looking at that is just lock your stuff up, man. Speak to your neighbors to be vigilant if you're not there as well, because you may have your jet skis in your yard and you are going on a long vacation. Just speak to your neighbors that I'm not here. So the community has to play a role in that as well, and not only we can put in a lot of security mechanism, but communities can play a role as well.
Do you think the community is too passive when it comes to these kind of incidents?
Yes, because, as I said before, the world in general has changed. It's not what it used to be. So crime is on the rise, not only in Cayman, but everywhere, because it's just the nature of the change of the world. So communities has to play a role in that as well, just to be more vigilant, not only for your neighbor, but for your own security. And it doesn't have to only be for marine purposes as well. Just overall having a vigilant and a security mindset. Even as women going home, find your keys at night. Find your keys before you go to your door. So don't go at the door fiddling with the keys. It may not happen regularly in Cayman. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. So having a more proactive approach to security is important, and thinking about it from that perspective. So just making little subtle changes can improve and can assist in that regard as well.
I'd have to agree in that sense. There's on a different note, when it came to, I guess, some burglaries that were happening in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
A lot of us talk with each other. So I'm walking my dog and hearing about what's going on and all the rest. So we're sharing information, we're sharing videos, and that's a big thing in helping keep us all on our toes.
Yes.
If I see strange cars that are just parked on the side of the road for some weird reason, I mean, you're not in front of a complex or a house, and they're just kind of parked at odd hours. I've got to be the worst, because I'm just like, what are you doing here?
No, but that's true.
People are like, mind your business. I'm like, I am minding my business. You're like, what are you doing here, parked on the side of the road?
It's your community, so you have to be,
you
have to be vigilant, and that is where community has to play a role in it.
Yeah.
But if you see somebody strange, it's you live there, so it's in your best interest.
Yeah,
to say
absolutely. Like I saw you. You see that I see you. You know, I've spoken to you. I can describe you now. That alone can sometimes deter people because people are sometimes watching. They're just watching your house or watching your home, especially if you do have boats. If you do have a jet ski there, they're going to look to see what your habits are and whatnot. So
again, physical locks, lock the boat, engine covers, improve lighting in the areas that you're storing these high value items, and that coupled with the electronic security side of it, the GPS, the intruders, the cameras, those would make a big difference.
So those are some basically best practices and safety tips.
Best practices.
So that would be the lockable engine covers. You can have
locks.
That. Interesting.
Lockable engine covers. So they do have those. Dock gates. So for those areas that you have your dock that you drive those boats in, have a gate that locks that. Lighting. Physical guarding if you're looking to maybe like a company that does boat maintenance, those kind of way, then looking to have physical security in place is good as well. Again, GPS tracking, remote monitoring, CCTV, geofencing alert, those would aid in reducing the theft of marine and these high value boats and jet skis.
Now we already know that owning a boat is a costly thing, right? All your money goes into that. Very much so.
Just going back to community, get to know your neighbour.
Yeah.
That's it's so sad these days. Nobody really knows the neighbour. Back in England, a lot of my neighbours, they had a group, sort of WhatsApp group, where they just put security concerns in the WhatsApp group. That was very effective.
Yeah.
And people talk, and it's just so sad that nobody knows the neighbours anymore. So it gives you talking points.
I mean, I feel like where I have mentioned it, I do.
Yeah.
My neighborhood, like we know each other in the exact vicinity of where I live, and it is supportive and it does help because you're exchanging information here and there, and plus it just makes it a more neighborly thing to do. I think it's part of the culture here in Cayman as well. It is more of a community centered culture. Yeah. When you're coming from kind of bigger districts or bigger cities, it's definitely a little bit more. You're living in silos kind of thing.
So that is important, just general community assistance.
Yeah,
and that helps.
And as I said, there is a more community minded approach here, right? But then again, there is that also mind your business approach, right? Like
there's always one of those neighbors.
It's that too. So which is also a very cultural thing, Yeah. So it's you can't do both. So when you see things going on, this is how we take care of each other, take care of our neighborhood, and that deters the robbers from coming, right?
Yeah.
When they know, okay, there's a bit of a network going on here.
Yes, they're more. Not as likely to venture into those communities.
Right.
And most communities that you see which are safer communities are those ones which actually have vibrant community groups and those kind of stuff. So you'll see it that those with vibrant groups and vibrant community meetings and stuff, those are the ones which are not necessarily succumb to these kind of things.
Okay, now we only got a couple minutes left, so just a couple quick questions. But for some boat owners that might be pouring all their money into the maintenance of their boat, what are some very simple, affordable steps that they can take today to secure their boat or marine craft?
Yeah, so again, remove high-value equipment from your boat when it's being stored. So if you have anything that's of high value that is light and easy to move, remove those, put those in a safe area, maybe in your house somewhere. Lock anything that can be locked. As we said before, maybe lockable engine covers, anything that can be locked and tied down securely, make sure that is done. Lighting, because most criminals are less likely to steal stuff in bright light as they would if there's no lighting in the area. So lighting plays a crucial part in that as well. So if you have your stuff under a dark place, it is more likely that they're gonna say, okay, nobody can see me, so I'm gonna take this as an opportunity. So lighting is important, and those are simpler steps that you can take, which are no steps that you can take to improve on this. Again, going a little further, you can always venture into the security aspects of it, which are the GPS tracking, the smart alarms, and those stuff. But for now, definitely remove all high-value items, lighting, and anything that can be locked up or locked down. Make sure that that is done.
And you offer everything from the GPS tracking services to...
From the GPS tracking services to, we do have electrical contractors that work with us that will provide you with solutions for lighting. We do designs for you, smart alarms, CCTV system, virtual garden. We'll provide if you want, for response as well, we'll provide that. So you just come into the security center, talk to one of our representatives, and we can work something out for you.
All right. Contact details.
So, you want to give the contact details to me? So we're
Barry's like, no.
Security Center.
I didn't know your email. My email.
So we're 115 Printaway. That's in Georgetown. You can email us at info@security.ky, or you can visit our website at security.ky. Or you can find us on Instagram as well. It's the Security Center on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn, again, the Security Center. So we're all over social media.
Okay.
And we do post regular security update trends in the security industry. So just for person's reference, to be able to see what is going on. As we said, we also post these the yearly security reports as well. So it's there. You can see what's going on in Cayman, how crime is trending, those kind of stuff. So those are our regular stuff we post. So visit us at the Security Center, and one of our representatives will be happy to assist you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning and for giving us an update and some solutions in regards to marine security in the Cayman Islands.
You're most welcome. It was our pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great Thursday. And we got to go to the 9 a.m. news. And then when we come back, we're going to be on our final segment of The Buzz.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Ministry of District Administration is looking to upgrade services in Cayman Brac. It's published a request for quotes on government's Bonfire Hub procurement website for the construction of the Bay Extension and office accommodation improvements, as well as a vehicle servicing pit on West End Road. In international news, Liverpool forward Diogo Jota has died in a car crash in Spain. Local police say the car left the road due to a tire blowout while overtaking another car. His brother, Andre Silva, also died in the crash. The 28-year-old was married just last month, and the couple had 3 children together. The Portuguese international was a key part of the Liverpool side that won the Premier League last season and earlier played for Wolves and Porto. Liverpool FC says they are, quote, devastated by what they're calling an unimaginable loss. Cristiano Ronaldo says, quote, it doesn't make sense, while Jota's former manager, Jurgen Klopp, says, quote, we will miss you so much. The UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, also has paid tribute to Jota, saying, quote, millions of Liverpool fans, but also football fans and non-fans, will be shocked. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and I don't know what happened to the last guest. So we were supposed to have Mr. Roy Bodden on again this morning. I remember last week, I think it was last week or the week before last, he was supposed to come on, and he did not. But he let us know that morning that he was not able to. And so I hope everything's okay, because it's a little unusual that we did confirm with Mr. Bodden yesterday and we don't see him again this morning. We were supposed to be talking about his latest book entitled Deconstructing Development, Immigration, Society, and the Economy in the 21st Century Cayman Islands. So that is his second book on basically the society of the Cayman Islands that we were going to be going into. So I'm a little disappointed not to have Mr. Bodden join us this morning. So that's all I can say on that. Maybe we'll hear from him in the future, perhaps on another show. But got to move on from that. Yeah, his book launch is coming up. Susan was just reminding me, on July 5th. And that's going to be at the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall, UCCI. So that is this Saturday. So if you are interested in his works and would like to be informed, because we can't tell you about this book right here as we were planning to on this segment of the show, then you can join his book launch at UCCI's Sir Vassal Johnson Hall this Saturday. So the book builds on Mr. Bodden's earlier reflections and dives deep into the complex interplay between immigration policy, economic dependency, and social transformation in Cayman. He challenges readers to rethink what development really means in a small island context, especially one that's politically British but economically North American. So I'm sure it'd be so interesting. He's such an interesting man to speak with, and a great writer and a public intellectual. So we would love to hear from Mr. Bodden, but unfortunately he has not shown for his interview. So moving on to some other news, there's some pretty devastating news that was announced in the community yesterday. I don't have the facts for it. Hopefully it'll be coming out soon, but it has to do with one of our health centers here in the Cayman Islands. Again, I don't want to say too much because I don't have the facts, I don't have the information, but what I did see online was absolutely devastating and heartbreaking to me. So stay tuned to our news segments, because hopefully it'll be a story that we're going to get the details on and we're able to unravel it for our listeners. In some other news, I did mean to open up the show with this news as well, but it was super devastating news if you are a football fan. Liverpool's Diogo Jota, my apologies for getting the name wrong. Clearly I don't watch football. He was killed in a car accident in Spain. Him and his brother. He is 28 years old. He passed away. Apparently their car went over the road, crashed, and they may have died on impact. But he played for Liverpool. They were the Premier League champions and the Nations League champions, and this man was married 10 days ago. He has 3 children and 2 dogs. He was on top of the world. I mean, Premier League champions, Nation League champions, only 2, very, very shortly after such triumphant career accomplishments in his life, and then a personal one, having been married just 10 days ago, to lose his life. So every day is a blessing, and we can't let our days surpass us. We have to remind ourselves that every day is a blessing. Every moment we get with our loved ones is a blessing. So hug your people, love your people, tell them how much that you care and that they matter, because today's not promised. Tomorrow definitely isn't promised. I believe we have Mr. Bodden on the phone. Do we have Mr. Bodden on the phone? Did I get that right, Susan? All right. So, he heard me call him out there. Or somebody. All right. So we got him on the phone. At least we got Mr. Bodden on the phone. I'm happy to hear that. So good morning, Mr. Bodden. How are you doing today?
Good morning, and my apologies for the mix-up. My apologies. I'm sorry if I have inconvenienced you, but I'm glad to be on the phone. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good, but I'm almost a little heartbroken here. I feel like you keep leading me on here. You haven't shown up. It's almost like you're supposed to be meeting somebody. Yeah, they don't come. I'm like, what happened?
I thought yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Because what happened? We tried to get on OC show.
Okay.
We couldn't get on it, and then someone called me and said there's an opening because someone that was supposed to turn up hadn't turned up. There's an opening. Can you come? So I came yesterday morning, thinking that would have been substituted for this morning. So I didn't know. It's my error, for which I apologize profusely.
Okay. Gotcha. No, I understand. I guess 2 different shows, 2 different hosts. Although, OC's our legend. So I'm sure it was an amazing conversation that you had with OC, right? So tell us about the background of this book. What inspired you to write what's called Deconstructing Development, Immigration, Society, and the Economy in the 21st Century Cayman Islands?
Right. This book is the sequel to the first book I wrote about Caymanian society in 2007, which is the Cayman Islands in Transition, the politics, history, and sociology of a changing society. So 18 years afterwards, I've been meticulously marking and making notes on the changes that have taken place, particularly as a result of globalization, because I think that we in the Cayman Islands don't appreciate that many things are out of our control because we are swept up in this vortex called globalization. And it presents challenges to societies and countries bigger than our own, as, for example, witness what Donald Trump is trying to do now in the United States as a result of an immigration system which is out of control, where people are pouring in to the United States at a rate that the United States cannot really absorb them. And so we, in a micro state of the Cayman Islands, face similar challenges. But none of our leaders foresaw this. Neither did many people in the developing world. So when the phenomenon of globalization swept the world, people embraced it with open arms because they thought, great, this is good. It's going to expand economies. It's going to employ people. It's going to uplift the standards of living. It's going to offer gentrification and improved health standards. But we didn't see that it has a downside. And I often say that development is a two-sided coin. One side has a brilliant sheen that will dazzle us. But when we flip it, we see another side with all of the challenges: overpopulation, pressures on the infrastructure, youth that are alienated and disenchanted because they're sometimes left behind. And then, of course, the poor, those people who don't have the skills which are marketable to catch up. And so that's what I set out to document now in this book.
Mr. Bodden, this question was posed to me a few days ago by OC, actually. And so he might have posed it to you as well. And it's a question that I've thrown around previously when talking about development in the Cayman Islands. But from your perspective, who do you think Cayman is developing for?
Well, that's the question I posed way back in 1978 when I wrote an article that was published in the Nor'Wester. It's a question that still remains unanswered. And I pose it again. I don't know. To be frank, it would seem to me that it is really not being developed for Caymanians. A case in point, I was at the University College commencement exercise 2 evenings ago, and there was a host of young people graduating, particularly in the technical and vocational fields. Air conditioning and refrigeration technology, electrical technology, mechanical technology, construction, and its ancillary services. And I wondered, where are these young people going? Who is going to ensure that they get employed? Is there a system set up where they can go into apprenticeships? Because I also know that the blue-collar professions are dominated by migrant laborers who come from overseas. And we don't have a Lyndon Findling and a Milo Butler here in Cayman that are going to call up these companies and say, we just want you to know, last night we had 300 graduates in these fields. We want to know what is your plan for absorbing them into your corporation. We don't have those kind of people here. And sometimes I say that I pray for a Lyndon Findling and a Milo Butler, someone that would slap their hand down on the desk, as Milo Butler did when he went down to the Bay Street branch of the Royal Bank of Canada and asked the little wrinkled Canadian manager, why are there no Bahamians in these positions I see as tellers and front office people? And he said, you know what? Come, let me show you something. Took him to the front door. He said, look up the street and down the street, which was Bay Street. What do you see? He said, I see a host of Bahamians. He said, you know what? Get them and train them. Because when I come back as the Minister of Labor to your branch, if I don't see any of them, we're going to close the bank. But we don't have anyone to do that in Cayman. Oh, we're going to run them away. They're going to leave. Leave? And this is the best place on earth. So I hope, and I'll be following it, I hope those young people don't have to register frustration and drop through the cracks and get depressed and go on drugs. It was so promising, young men and young women. And I know the story well because I was president of the University College for 9 years. And I know what happened when I called these people up. Well, we have someone on a work permit in the post. Listen. So here's the bottom line. We can effect the change ourselves and remain in total control, or we can make the forces of history make the change, and then we shall all come to sufferation, as the Rasta man says.
So 1978 is when you first posed that question, who are we developing for? And it's 2025, and you're asking the same question in this book, right? Has your views changed at all from 1978 to now? Because you said right now you don't know who we're developing for.
No, my views haven't changed.
Wow.
My views haven't changed. I'm convinced that I'm right. And in this book, madam, I not only say things, I substantiate it with other referees, with other sources, academic sources. I quote people like Simon Cordray. I quote people like Marlene Ducaran, whom we know. And I agree with the decisions they came up with. I will tell you, practical a challenge we have. We are building just down the road, about a mile, maybe 2 miles from where I live, a Mandarin Oriental.
Yeah.
We are going to have to import 2,000 to 3,000 laborers to build that hotel. So of what benefit is that to Caymanians? Of what benefit is that to Caymanians? Sure, the government is going to get a little money from the license fees and from the room rental fees. Who are going to be in the managerial positions, the front office, even housekeeping? So in my book, in the latest book, Deconstructing Development, I said we made an error in developing beyond the capacity to provide Caymanian labor.
We have to take a real quick break right here, Mr. Bodden. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation and get into some of the book's themes and ideas, okay?
Right.
Cruise into summer with expert service from Automotive Art Cayman. More than a retail store, it's your one-stop auto care shop. We offer paint, detailing, accessories, wheels, Yamaha parts and products, batteries, tire repairs, tire changes, and more. Need top-tier shine and protection? Grab Gliptone detailing gear, Chevron synthetic oil, and Axiom car care kits. Get expert service with premium products all under one roof. Wherever you cruise, make your pit stop at Automotive Art first. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush. For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a second location in Governor's Square. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
Sports. Stay up to date on your sports news with Radio Cayman Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's all about sports.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Brit K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm Kathy Miller, and on the phone with me right now, I have the very distinguished Mr. Roy Bodden. We are talking about his latest book entitled Deconstructing Development, Immigration, Society, and the Economy in the 21st Century Cayman Islands. Mr. Bodden, good morning again. Thanks for calling in and giving us some background on the book, what inspired it, and I said we're going to get into some of the book's themes and ideas. So we talked just now a little bit about development and your stance on who we are developing for, which hasn't changed from 1978 to now. You're not sure who we're developing for. And when I have these discussions about development, I've emphasized that it doesn't seem that Cayman is developing for Caymanians. And that just for me, when it comes to, the real estate sector. So let's look at some of the other ideas and themes in your book, immigration being one of them.
Right. I have come up with this notion that Caymanian society is a duality. We're really two societies in one. One for us, where people, I call it metaphorically, on the plantation, and one for the other people who live in a paradise. And it's easy to see who lives in paradise and who lives on the plantation, and the two different economic brackets and economic lifestyles. And I posed the question, what about the young people? Since we have sold the land, even when we were warned not to sell our birthright for a mess of pottage, what have we now left to give to our progeny? Are they doomed to spend the rest of their lives in apartments where the strata dictates how they should live, what size families they can have, what pets, if any, they can have, what their social space is going to be like? So the whole model upon which we are developing is a flawed model, catering mainly to the super wealthy. You know what, Catherine?
Yeah, I agree with you.
What someone told me the other day, there are 20 billionaires. You heard what I said?
Yep.
20 billionaires residing in the Cayman Islands. 20 billionaires. So you you have to pardon me, and I am old now, and I've been preaching this from the time I was young, and I got castigated, so they can do nothing more to me now. We cannot, as a society, do justice to our own people when we are catering to the interests of people from outside. And I'm not against anyone because I'm sensible. We have to be an inclusive society. But why should we sacrifice the only thing we had, which was my thesis in 1978? If you deprive the people of the land, which is the only asset that they had, if you separate the land from its owners, you're going to have trouble. So I suggested that no outsider, no foreigner should be able to buy absolute titles to Caymanian land, that rather we sell them leasehold, 50 years and 99-year leasehold. I further said that we had the model for that in what Commissioner Gerard, the man who warned us not to sell our birthright for a mess of pottage, in what he did with Benson Greenall, the British industrialist, when Benson Greenall came down and said he wanted to build a hotel. Gerard piloted a template of leasehold where all that land where Villas of the Galleon, part of the land that the Ritz-Carlton is now on, was leased to Benson Greenall for 99 years. Leased, not sold, leased. So we had the template already set for us to follow. But regrettably, we didn't follow it. And now we have come to reap the whirlwind.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. That is very much a topic that I'm very interested in, and have these discussions with my friends all the time, about my Caymanian friends about it all the time, especially not being able to buy homes here, or even if they can, they're still being the cost of living is very, very demanding, and they're looking to relocate their families outside of the Cayman Islands, and that doesn't make no sense to me.
It doesn't. Let me take it a step further, Catherine. Not only did we sell our land, but we're not even the sellers. Look who the realtors are. The realtors are not people like you and I. They don't look like you and I. They don't come from Northside and Bodden Town and East End and Georgetown and West Bay. Only now a trickle is coming in. So we've lost on every count in the game. We sell the land, and we're not even the sellers. We don't even make the commissions.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are starting to see some more Caymanians come into real estate, which is great. It's still not enough.
It's still not enough, and it's too easy for people other than Caymanians to come into real estate. Let me tell you something. Why I speak the way I speak. I left the Cayman Islands, and for a while I immigrated to another society. And in that society in which I lived, when I went for my papers, here's what I was told. You cannot work for the federal government because you're not a citizen. So right away, I was excluded from certain positions. Second thing is, certain vocations you go into, you have to get a license. I couldn't get off the plane and go sell real estate in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I had to sit a license. So why do these people come here as bartenders, dive masters, barmaids, and go and sell and in one fell swoop make a commission more than a Caymanian high school leaver or college graduate makes in 1 year? The system is not for us. It's skewed against us. And we have to begin now to look at these things seriously. My book is interesting in that I have a chapter talking about who should be Caymanian. Should it be based on ancestry, land, or blood? And I talk about ancestral privileges. So they call us entitled. But I pose the question, if I am a citizen of a country and I don't have certain privileges and entitlements over the non-citizen, of what use is it to me to become a citizen? I like the United States model, man. You're an American first and foremostly, okay? And don't forget that. And so it should be in Cayman. You cannot come here from somewhere else and say you are equal to me. whose ancestors built this place, I will accept you. And so I have a whole system of how I think citizenship and belonger status should be arrived at. And the Caymanian with ancestral privilege must be first among the equals.
I agree with you there as well, Mr. Bodden. And I do want to say that I am an expat. I'm Canadian. So when you said they're not like us, the last name Miller makes a lot of people think I'm from Northside. I have been here 20 years, and I have very much threaded myself into the fabric of Caymanian society. So I'm very, very integrated, which, I'm sure you've heard and you know about. But in saying that, the issues that I see Caymanians face are very, they're of a lot of concern to me as well. And I think there's so much in your book that you've just touched on now that needs to be uncovered, that needs to be discussed in much greater length. We have to wrap the show. So I'm just going to ask you if you can remind our listeners, you have a book launch on Saturday at UCCI's Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. If you can give us any little details there, what can be expected?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. That was great because I didn't have the time. So 6 p.m. Are you going to be reading from the book at all? Anything like that? People can buy copies there?
I have some people who are going to comment on the writings. I'm going to read a couple excerpts here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say what's behind the book. I will leave you with this that will be gratifying to you. The Millers came here from Montreal.
Oh, okay. I would have thought somewhere in England, but okay, Montreal.
Yep, Montreal.
Interesting.
Documented Montreal.
Well, thank you for that.
They might have came from England before that.
Okay.
Came from Montreal. But I want to make the point. I'm not against expatriates. I'm not against anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that our model of development is flawed. Because if we didn't have outsiders, of course, it has to be a symbiotic and synergistic relationship.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be under constant examination. Yeah?
Wholeheartedly agree. And as an expat, I absolutely agree. As an expat, to see these things happen, I think that tells you where I am, in everything and seeing things. So
there are many persons like you in my engagement with people collecting information for the book. There are many people like you, many expatriates like you. And my book is not anti-expatriate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just saying that we need to correct the developmental model that we have because it's flawed.
It is.
If it continues, it'll only get worse. So thanks for your time.
No problem. Thank you. I wish we could have a longer, more in-depth conversation here. We absolutely need it. So one day I very much hope to have you on for the entire show, Mr. Bodden, because I know it would be a great one.
I would love that.
Me too.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem at all. And good luck on the book launch on Saturday, 6 p.m., everybody. You can go and listen to him read a little bit from the book. You'll have other people speaking there as well, and hopefully buy the book.
And it's affordable. That's the important thing. It's affordable to people because I ensure that my books are affordable because it doesn't make sense for a writer to write and nobody buys the book because the book is too expensive. It's affordable. So I love to see the hall filled. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. And thanks for joining us on the Business Buzz this morning. To our listeners, I hope you have a great Thursday and a beautiful long weekend ahead.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And Automotive Art Cayman. Your car